In just the last 24 hours, dozens of people have reported filling up with contaminated gas at gas stations around the state.
Diesel fuel was accidentally mixed in with regular unleaded gas, causing a mess for many people around the metro area. The wrong fuel was delivered to some King Soopers, Costco's, and Murphy Expresses between Wednesday afternoon and yesterday morning. There have been at least 200 complaints filed so far. Consumer investigator Steve Steger joins us now with consumer attorney Dan Vedra for more on what you can do if you filled up with some of that bad gas.
Yeah, we are getting so many questions into the Steve on Your Side tip line about this. I thought it was a good idea to bring Dan in. We talk to Dan about consumer issues all the time. You're one of my favorite text messages, so I figured you would be perfect to answer this. One of the questions that I've heard from people is, what happens, they're hesitant to take their car into a mechanic because they're afraid that if I take it to my mechanic and have the work done, it's going to void any sort of claim I'll be able to make at a claims process from a gas station. Is that true?
I don't think that that's the case. I think anybody that has this problem going on right now, they need to go figure out what's happening and they need to document that. So if they take it to their mechanic, they want to make sure that they have documentation that they filled up with some of the contaminated gas. They want to have documentation from the mechanic that that's what's causing their car to fail. And if possible, they want to preserve a sample of the gasoline that comes out of their tank that's causing their problem.
Which, if that's the case, the mechanic is going to be pumping it out and can probably easily get you a little sealed container or something like that that you can hold on to.
Yeah, I think so. You want to be able to demonstrate that it went into a container, it came out of your car, and you sealed it and kept it for later testing.
I had questions about this because I've heard, like when you're going through the claims process for something like this, likely you're going to sign some documents at some point. How do you protect yourself to make sure you're not signing away any legal rights that you might need, that if you need to fight with whoever's doing this claims process?
Yeah, it depends on what process it's going through. I understand King Soopers has really been proactive and been one of the best responders to this. They started with a list of 22, narrowed it down to 13. So they're being proactive in establishing a process for this. The thing that worries me as an attorney is when people start signing paperwork. So they'll say, oh, we'll put you in this process, but you have to agree to our process, or before we give you any cash to compensate you for the damages that you've had to your vehicle or for the loss of use of your vehicle, you need to sign some sort of release. That's when I think people really need to sort of get their antennas up and look for the red flags and say, okay, what am I signing away here?
What kinds of red flags would you be looking for in a situation like that? Because I imagine a form process is going to have a lot of little terms and things at the bottom of the page. What should I be looking for?
Yeah, like if you're going through something online, like if they set up a portal to review the claims and they say, okay, you have to agree to our terms and conditions, that could limit you in terms of what you're able to claim. That could limit what type of process and procedure you have to go through to get compensation. So before you click, I agree to the terms and conditions, you want to make sure you read and understand them. And if you don't, or if you don't want to take that time, don't do it. Or if you're going through a process, with your own insurance and making a claim there, before they agree to give you any money, usually they're going to want you to sign a release. It'll be pretty obvious what you're doing there is that, when you're releasing, that's what you're doing. You're getting rid of your claims in exchange for some payment.
Have you ever seen a situation quite like this?
In the past, I've heard of a gas station where this happened, where I think it was the reverse, where it was gasoline into a diesel tank, and that was, catastrophic. Hearing your experts earlier talk about this being something that can be fixed with a flush of the gas tank is great to hear, because from what I recall about that experience, that was, total engine failure and total engine replacement.
What other things should people keep in mind as they're picking out, maybe going to a mechanic or working with their insurance company? Any other things that you can think of that people should have in mind?
The thing they should have in mind is just, are these people that are competent to be able to do that? Do they know what they're doing? Are they experienced it? Have they done this before? This isn't the first time someone's put diesel fuel into a gas tank. So, mechanics should be able to deal with this. And you just want to make sure you're able to get documentation of everything that happened, because ultimately this is something that happened to them through no fault of their own. They saw the sign said unleaded gas, this much per gallon. They expected to have unleaded gas go into their gas tank. And they should be able to, as long as they can document that all along the way, that's what they should be doing.
One last thing that I keep hearing from people always say, this is the reason why I always grab the receipt. I haven't done that, admittedly. I always expect it to be on my credit card statement, but is grabbing the receipt super important?
I'm in the same boat. I never grab a a receipt when I buy gas, and that was something I talked about with my paralegal this afternoon. Was, do they even put the number of gallons you pump into your tank there? Yeah, it'd be good to have. The hard thing with those receipts now is you keep them for a little bit of time, and suddenly the ink fades and you don't see what it is anymore. So if you're affected and you have the receipt, make a copy of it or take a picture of it, because those receipts go blank after a period of time. So. But yeah, maybe that's something that we all start doing in the future to make sure this doesn't happen.
Good call. Snap the picture. Consumer protection attorney Dan Vedra, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.